Jackson, let me ask you this. So why is shadow IT and SaaS sprawl, why are those urgent issues for small and mid-sized businesses today?
Yeah, so there's a few risks that I would highlight there, some of which are obvious, some of which are less obvious. The first concern that I think comes to most people's minds is PII being leaked out of the LLM. And that's a real concern. It's not just a theoretical one. So we often think about PII and we think about it going into the LLM, but there's other risks that, as business owners, y'all should be thinking about. The first one that I would just highlight is your contracts. My guess is that you have contracts that differ from client to client. And so it can be really embarrassing if those other clients get out. Second piece is your own intellectual property, trade secrets, things like that that you have developed in-house. You've probably spent a lot of money and time on R&D, and to have that stuff just leaked out in the world can be a real nightmare. The final thing that I would just highlight too is the internal stuff, right? You have employees that are depending on you, right? And you have to keep their morale high. So sure, your internal employees, PII can come out there. That's, the first thing that we talked about. But also bear in mind that there are other things that you might not want to have out in the world. All of you have account executives that are receiving commissions. Maybe maybe they're making more money than you are, right? But imagine if, an accounting person learned that the account executive, with all their bonuses and commission structure, was making twice as much as they are. That could be a real nightmare for keeping your internal employees engaged and be a communications strategy that you don't want to have to employ. The other real thing that I would just share, and I'll post a link to this in a few minutes because we're going to talk about it some more, is that IBM studies these things every year and releases a cost of a data breach report. And the most recent 2025 edition, again, I will put a link to it in the chat shortly, um, is says that the use of shadow AI tools by your employees that aren't sanctions adds an average, this is an average of $670,000 to the cost of a data breach, right? So that's on top of the millions of dollars that these data breaches cost. I think it's $3.3 million average in the United States. Now add another $670,000 for that.